First episode of 2020. We're back for another year. Stevie, what's happening?
Not much. Excited to be back.
Yeah, big year ahead.
Hopefully.
We've got Reda who decides to show up for the first.
That's
Okay.
two in a
Two on
row.
it. First for the year, so you're 1 for 1.
Yeah, that's right. So no more roasting
Yeah.
until I miss the next one.
So just don't miss 20 like last year and we'll be alright.
Nah, it should be good. Should be good.
We've got a special guest today. It's Arthur Diles from the Wanderers. How you doing?
Very well, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. We're excited to have you to have a coach. You'd be our third coach on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Stadge, Brian, and now yourself. So how did you get involved in football, start in football? Just
Coaching, in terms of coaching or
coaching, even playing? Did you start off playing, obviously?
Yeah, I played like every kid, local. I grew up in the inner west.
Yep.
And then played a lot of my football in St. George district just for local clubs there. I don't think the clubs even exist anymore that I played for, local. And then played reps at the time. The setup then was you played reps under 11s and 12s.
Yep.
And youth league started under 13s. So 11s and 12s, if you made a rep team, which was, you had two divisions back then. You had North and South.
Yep.
And so I played for St. George reps. And then what happened there, you had to play reps on Sundays, but on Saturday you played for whoever your local club was.
Yeah.
So you train with your local club, you train with the reps 1 day a week,
Yep.
play local club Saturday, rep Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So that's how it used to work there. And then so I did 11s and 12s at St. George, and then I didn't make the 13s at St. George, so I went to Sydney Olympic, and then stayed there for a number of years, and then went to Parramatta Power, Sydney United, a few little stints overseas in Belgium and England, and then back playing NPL, and decided to start coaching in my early 20s.
Okay.
So when I came back from England in 2004, I was playing NPL for Olympic.
Yep.
And it was funny, the under 14s coach at the time was going away for the back end of the season, and the president at the time goes to me, "Oh, can you just coach the under 14s?" And I said, "Look, nah, I can't do it. I don't have time. I'm working. I'm planning. We'll work around your schedule." Okay. Anyway, cut a long story short, I took on the job for half a season, and then haven't really looked back since.
Yeah. What did you have a passion at that time, or you kind of grew into becoming a passion for you?
I think I always had a passion for coaching, because like even when I was overseas, trialing or playing, I don't know why, but I would come home every day and have a journal where I'd write down everything we did for that training session.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I had a journal from back then, and maybe that was a sign for me. I always had an interest in the game. I was always really passionate about the game, and would always watch or train or watch on TV. I was just really obsessed with the game, and partly because of my upbringing, my family. My dad was into it, so I was always at grounds watching and seeing him coaching as well. And then I think when I started coaching after that year Olympic, I went and coached at Granville Rage at the time, under 13s. And I was there for I think 2 years. And like when I started there, like Yanni Fragianis was in that team, who's now playing in NPL, has played for a number of years. So he was in that team. Coached there 2 years. Then I went to Fraser Park, coached at Fraser Park under 14s again. Then I went to Gladesville Ride Magic as like a technical director. So along this ride, I'm now doing my coaching badges, whatever I had to do then. And then went TD of the youth space at Gladesville Ride Magic, who then was, you had Premier Youth, Super Youth and Development Youth. They were Development Youth. So my first 5 or 6 years, I'd pretty much coached from NPL 1 to NPL 2 or NPL 3, if you want to call it like that.
Yeah.
So all three things. And I enjoyed that. And then I started to take it a little bit more serious, to be honest with you, and thought, I really like this. So kept updating myself with my badges, and then I went and volunteered to work with Milan Blagojevic at the Skillaroos. So I used to play with Milan, we were good friends, and so I thought I'd go and learn from him, someone I look up to. And so I went there and volunteered for a year whenever I could, a couple of training sessions and some games, and there was a really good group of players then. And then after that, got got into the institute as a head coach, and then it probably kicked off from there, I would say. And at that stage, I probably would have been about 30 years old, roughly, more or less. And
were you still playing at the time?
yeah, I was just playing local then, but in
Okay.
like in the Wollongong Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Still
like
making a bit of cash.
like everyone did, collect some cash,
Yeah.
train once a week and get some cash. But
Yeah.
because I was starting to take my coaching serious, and then from the Skillaroos onwards, it's probably things have just happened really quickly and progressed in a way that I had hoped and worked towards. And from Skillaroos Institute becoming a head coach, and I had a really good group of players in my first team there. So like the likes of Daniel Azani, Ben Falami, who are all overseas at the moment, and Henry Davies that was here at the Wanderers, Matthew Cordier was in the under-14s team. A lot of boys, and they've all had half-decent careers. And from there, went to Olympic after that as a technical director of the club in NPL. Then I've been at the Wanderers ever since. Now it's my 5th year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I spent a year and a half, almost 2 seasons at Olympic, and then the Wanderers Academy started, and I've been here since.
How did the opportunity come up for Wanderers Academy?
I think at the time when they decided they were going to have academies, and Ian Crook was going to be the technical director, he knew me from Football New South Wales because he was involved there in the program as well, and he asked me if I'd be interested to come to the Wanderers. And I remember being invited to the end of season awards at the Wanderers, and I turned up, and I saw a lot of faces there that, like Trevor Morgan was a youth team coach at the time, and he used to be my coach. And then I saw John Tatsumas there. I saw players that I'd played with like Mark Bridge and Sana and Popper was there, and it just had this really, really good feeling about it at this awards night. And I remember walking out of that awards night saying, "This is the club I want to be at." I just really loved the environment and the people that were there. I thought, I just felt like I belonged.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much said to Cookie straight away, "Mate, whatever team you want me to coach, I'm keen." And started in the under-18s.
Yeah.
And then I've slowly progressed over the years. So that was a really, really enjoyable time at the beginning there, where we had to put the academy together, and so for the first few months we had to go and find our players. So I had the under-18s, and fortunately for me, it was the age that I'd worked with for a number of years at the institute. So that the 99 born and the 2000 born players who I'd worked with. And to be fair, that's why I chose that age group, because I had a good understanding of the players from that age group. And I remember the under-18s team we put together. There's probably 6 or 7 of them playing A-League at the moment from an under-18s team. So I think something like that, if that happened in Europe, the whole world will talk about it. It's happening in our own backyard, and it sometimes gets overlooked. Sometimes you think if 1 or 2 players from your team can progress, you've done an amazing job. We're talking about players from the under-18s team. Muri Najjar, who's at Melbourne. So they might not be with us, but Muri Najjar was in that team. Tas Mutakutis, Tate Russell, Costa Grozos, they all came through that team as an under-18s. Jerry Skatatis, who went on to Sydney and now Melbourne, Western Melbourne. So there was a lot more, and so we don't talk about that like I think we should. I think that's not common. That from an under-18s team, that they 6 or 7 have a career at the moment as professionals from some are in other clubs, which for me doesn't matter because it's still a great achievement for our club, and I'm still proud for the ones that kick on elsewhere. If we can provide a pathway and an opportunity for them, ideally we want them to be at the Wanderers, of course, but if it means through us they've kicked on as well, I think that's credit to us as well. So and that's it. Then it's been pretty much then 18s, a year, 20s, and then NYO, and I'm still there at the moment.
How's the youth system changed from the time of when you used to play now into more of a coaching role? Have you seen massive changes in terms of what it used to be until now? Because we always talk about the past being our most successful years, with the Paul O'Cons and those alike, especially the 2006 generation. Now, do you think there's massive gaps? Are we missing a certain thing, or do you think the game's just evolved?
Yeah, the game's changed everywhere, and And the beauty is that we're not foreign to these changes and these issues because through my travels overseas every year, I'm in Europe.
Yeah, that's what I'm
on my
interested
time
to get
off,
on later. Yeah.
and in Europe they're facing the same problems that we're facing. You
Okay.
know, it's a generational thing, and it's kids over there have got the same problems as us, losing a little bit of interest in the game because of outside influences. You know, a lot of things that you know, agents getting involved, parents being a problem. You know, we think the parents in Australia are the only ones that are a problem, and they are. But they have the same problems overseas too.
Yeah.
So when I hear that, I think, okay,
We're not the only ones.
we're not the only ones. So you know, we're faced with those problems. But I think the general level of coaching is higher than it ever was. The level of the player, in different ways, is higher than it was, but in other ways we're lacking poorly. And what I mean by that is, I think individually, if we look at players now, skillful more than there was when I played, and that wasn't long ago. I think players can do things these days that we could never do. But I think players lack an understanding of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Very good point.
they lack a real understanding of the game. So they got all the bells and whistles, but if you get him to read a tactical situation in a match, he's probably got no idea. If you ask him about, you know, players from around the world that aren't in the top 5, they wouldn't know who they are. If you ask them to name you some clubs in Belgium or in Switzerland, they wouldn't be able to tell you. So I think we've increased the potential and the ability of players individually, but I think the players, because it's a generational thing and life's changed, I don't think players love the game and are in love with the game. I think they really enjoy playing it. They have fun at it.
Yeah.
But I think it's easy for them to give up now because of so many other distractions. And if you're not obsessed with this game, I think the chance of you progressing is very minimal.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting you touch on that because, like, before, I mean, even when I was young, I'm 96 born, so I'm not that old, but I remember we didn't have iPads, iPods, we didn't have Facebook, Instagram to waste our time, and actually we've had a few boys here, A-League boys, youth boys, and some of them don't even watch football. I think it is a culture change through social media. People like to go out partying now, clubbing, girlfriends, whatnot. So it's very interesting that you touch on that.
Look, that existed back then also.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, but I think back then, my junior years were played at Olympic, and okay, maybe I had a different opinion of Olympic because I'm from Greek heritage.
Yeah, so you looked up to the club.
My parents were migrants in this country, and so as a family, we would watch Olympic every opportunity we had in New South Wales. We would travel to Canberra, to Newcastle, wherever, and we never missed a game in this state. So I was brought up as a 3-year-old, watching training sessions with my father at Olympic, in the middle of winter, and I'm behind goals, fetching balls, and watching every game. And after games, going to change room with players, and we really looked forward to that. And then when I played for the club, even all the youth players, there'd be so many of them that if we played youth league on a Saturday and the home game for first grade was Sunday, we were all there. At Leichhardt Oval, we'd be there.
Yeah.
Didn't matter if you were Greek or whatever, or non-Greek, you were there.
Yeah.
And the parents would be there and the kids would be there. I think now it's easy to say, the commitment is bigger for parents because now people are going to academy training, private training, club training, school training. So it's a massive commitment for a parent. And imagine now, your kid's playing Saturday, so you've driven all over Sydney. Sunday, the A-League's on, but then you go tell your wife, I want to go watch the Wanderers of Sydney. Hang on a minute, you were just there yesterday, 4 nights a week we're training. No, you're not. And the guy's going, okay, we're not. But that's because the commitment is so big now during the week.
Yeah.
And life's changed that you're not. Let's be honest, if everyone that loved football was watching games each week, the stadiums will be full. You wouldn't be able to get a ticket.
Right. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
That's the reality. Everyone loves football in this country. There's so many passionate football people that don't go watch games. And you can sit there and say, oh, yeah, the quality of the A-League's not right. That's excuses.
Yeah.
If you love football, you're going to watch it. And if it means once a fortnight or once every 3 weeks you're going to argue with your wife, just argue.
But do you think that's a fan problem, or do you think that's the governing body's issue, that they're not interacting with fans? That since that transition between NSL to like the A League now, that there isn't much of that interaction. Because right now you see.
Well, no, because before there was no interaction, there was no marketing, there was no media.
But
There
isn't
was
that because
negative
the
media.
clubs were taking that responsibility because of the ethnicities?
But the clubs didn't do anything anyway. So I don't look at that and say, oh, you know. But let's remember, back then, you had 2 or 3 teams with crowd. Sydney Olympic being one of them.
Yeah.
And we're not talking big crowds. We're talking about 6, 7, 8,000. If it was a top game, 10. You know, you had Marconi that only have 2 or 3,000. Sydney United had maybe 4 or 5. You had Melita that have 2 or 3. You know, Melbourne Knights wouldn't get huge. South Melbourne, okay, a little bit. Perth when they came in a little bit, but the crowds weren't big. Okay, the stadiums were small, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But they weren't big crowds at all.
Yeah.
Morwell Falcons would get 1,000 people.
Yeah.
You
We
know?
get more than that now. Yeah.
You know, like, so there was no marketing then. But there was a lot of teams, and there was a lot of opportunities for players.
Yeah.
So you had 14 or 16 teams. So, you know, and then you had your youth team playing before first grade every week. And you had a youth competition that had 14 teams or 16 teams in each conference. So you played 30 games in a season. 30 of those games you're playing before first grade. So you're even getting the opportunity to play on the main stadium before the first team. And your second half, you're playing in front of 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people forget about that as well. And then the kids that have come through that, when they go and play in front of 10,000 people in a
it's
World Cup
different.
qualifier under 17s, it's no problem.
Yeah.
But now when our kids are playing in front of 150 people, and then they're going to Indonesia and playing in front of 15,000, well, the chances are they could get a little bit overwhelmed, and you know. So there's a lot of differences that I think have combined and put us in a situation where it's not ideal at the moment, but it can be fixed.
Yeah.
So back to that, talking about the players, the understanding of the game, how that's changed back from when you were playing. One of the questions we had from the viewers was, how much do you think from back in your time where it was competitive at those younger ages, so the rep was competitive and it was for points and things like that, how much do you think that's impacted the progression of players, so seeing out games, game management and that kind of thing? Do you think that's contributed to what you're talking about with the game understanding?
Yeah, I think so. I think also the fact that I remember growing up, whether it was my backyard or the local park, with older cousins, older siblings, or parents, you played 2v2, 4v4, 10v10 down the park with all your family. And there was a punishment for the loser anyway. Pick up the gear, or, I don't know, the loser shouted drinks. Or So you played to win.
Yeah.
If I was playing in the backyard and me and my brother, you know, we dug up the grass how many times, broke the window in the garage 400 times. I couldn't tell you how many times we damaged the house, damaged the grass, 2-on-2, 1-on-1,
Your kids
4-on-4.
do it now or not?
No, my kids don't do it. But it was just instilled in you. No one told us to do that.
Yeah.
No one
Still.
told us
True. Yeah.
do this to win. You just found a way. And then growing up in youth league space, of course there was always points. From reps there was always points. You know, I remember, but I also learned a lot of discipline in reps. You know, I had a coach, Mark Dinley, at the time at St. George, I'll never forget, who I learned discipline from a really young age, something that you don't even see today, where we were under 10s, 11s, we could not leave training without having a shower back then. And just for discipline, for hygiene, because that's what footballers do. You know, I remember if we were doing finishing and, you know, we'd play him a ball to lay off. If it went a metre either side of him, at Pico's Park, he would belt the living daylights out of that ball. 200 metres, 100 metres. You had to go and chase it, come back. You missed 10 shots.
Could you imagine doing that today?
Yeah, but you knew the next pass I'm playing his feet.
Yeah.
So, and he wouldn't scream at us. He just belt the ball. Go and chase it. So, and then it was never about, oh, you must win. But we all played to win, naturally. I don't even remember what the tactics were back then and I don't even remember how good the training was. But I remember things about discipline and things just about that footballers need to know and do that stuck with me forever. And then I remember more so my youth league coaches. If I look back now, I think just the training was poor. At the time, we had no idea. We thought the training was unreal. We thought our coach was God. And I look back now thinking that the training was laughable compared to what's happening now in our youth space, right? But you had
Discipline.
12 or 14 teams, I can't remember what it was, in the comp, and you didn't have an easy game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had 3 divisions, and there was promotion relegation, and you knew the best players were playing in NPL or Premier League. You knew the next best players were playing in Super League, and you knew the next best were playing in First Division.
Yeah.
And very rarely, you had some that were missed, but that's always the case. You know, there was some in Division 1 or Super League that could play NPL 1, but you knew it was on. You know, and you had Melita that was strong, Blackton that was strong. You know, try and beat MacArthur, who had, in my time, Matt Thompson, Shane Canstel, Sheriff. Try beat Central Coast, who had, Jamie McMaster, just Van Straten, and, you knew going to Blacktown, you're not winning. You know, you knew you're going to Melita Stadium. To win, you got to move heaven and earth. But at the same time, they knew when they came to Leichhardt Oval, they weren't going to win either. You know, so it was, I don't know, it wasn't because the coaching was outstanding when I'm looking back, but I've still got footage of under 14s and 15s that my father used to tape, and I look at it, and the football was okay, but it was just like, it just seems a little bit more real in terms of just playing the game in a real way, not in a fantasy way, you know. And I think today's a little bit too much fantasy. Players doing insignificant things that are gonna stop them from becoming footballers, not make them become footballers, you know. And that's all the bells and whistles that they have. And I think that will ultimately stop them, because if I'm in an NYO space and I'm teaching players how to ping a ball when they're 17, 18, 19,
too late.
we have a problem. And if I got kids coming through the club that are struggling to head a ball and they're defenders, we have a problem.
Yeah. Because that's a big one these days, right? Heading the ball. So back when we were playing, I think I'm a year younger than you. Back when we were playing, the heading and that, you
Heading all the time, every training session you do heading.
Yeah, and it's something
some sort
that you rarely see
very
now.
true.
The problem. But back to that technique, as he's talking about striking, and I see a lot in here, and even with the pros. Do you think how the curriculum's changed and there's that focus on the team, so the structure in the team, when the ball's here, this is my role, when it's focused on the individual rather than the technique? So I remember back, as you were saying, there was heading every session, we were striking balls, we were doing all that. The focus has changed away from the individual, and it's more about the individual within the team. Do you think that's impacting in the quality of the players with that final thing, so with the technique for finishing or whatever it might be? Do you think that's impacting what's happening?
Well, it's a tough one, because they're training more now than they ever did. We trained half of what they would do.
Yeah, we think we were 2 max back
there
then.
was 2 sessions a week. It was a Tuesday, Thursday, play Saturday. And then I can't remember any academies when I grew up. I remember there was a soccer camps that Alagic, or the surname was Alagic, I forget his first name, but he would do a soccer camp at Park Lee, and there would be some guests from England that would come. So I remember doing one of those, and there was maybe 1 or 2 people that would do private coaching. So I did maybe 6 months worth with John Davies. No, who was it? Not John Davies. Anyway, I forget his name. I'll remember it later. And there was nothing else. So you could have gone to 1 or 2 people that were doing some private stuff, but all I did was I'd go down the park and put 10 markers out and dribble. And then I'd do that for 10, 15 minutes. Then I'd just shoot at a goal. I'd have 5 or 6, and I'd just shoot. Or there's a wall, and I just smash the ball against a wall, and that's all I did. So, and no one told me, this is how you strike a ball, this is how you pass a ball. I got taught later when I went. John Doyle was his name. Sorry, John Doyle. So when I went to John Doyle, I learned how to do some turns on the ball. I learned some runs into the box. Was at that time I was a striker. I don't know how, but. So he taught me how to head a ball, put my head through the ball and things like that. So now the kids are getting a lot more. The coaching is better in our environments. They're doing more. So why is this a problem? This is the question we have to ask. And I think what people need to realise, more so parents, is when you want to take your son outside of his team environment for private training, don't be a sheep and follow, go to that academy because 500 people go there. What does your son need? Okay, he needs to practice his technique, but is a striker more technique in terms of finishing or striking a ball? Okay, who do I know that does private stuff that can benefit that? I don't need to go to do the general stuff that I already know just because other people do it.
Yeah.
And then you look at that and you think, well, if someone started an academy that was just for striking a ball, pinging a ball, parents after 3 weeks will go, what a waste of money. My kid's not running hard. He's not sweating. What's this bloke doing? But it's such an important thing in the game that no one coaches.
Yep.
And we can do a bit in our environment, but imagine now if I had to every week strip it back and say, okay, boys, for the next half hour, get 40 yards apart and just ping a ball.
Yeah,
but that's what they actually need.
Yeah, 100%.
But we don't have the time to do that now. We have to sometimes disguise that and move on to the next because we're running out of time. And kids have to learn that at a really young age. So, you know, I'm talking about 8, 9. You know, 3 months ago when I was in Spain, I'm watching the under-8s warm up of Espanyol. And they were 30 metres, 40 metres apart, pinging balls to each other for 15 minutes before the session started. And I've gone, these under-11s or 12, he goes 8s.
Cracker.
Yeah.
But you know that kid at 10 years old, if he needs to pass short or pass long or ping a ball or drive a ball or dink a ball, he's got it in the locker.
Yeah.
And he will just use it whenever he needs it. You know? And I think we bypass all that stuff, which is really, really important. You know? One-on-one defending. Now, who coaches that? You're in a one-on-one battle 100 times a game.
Yeah. It never gets coached. Yeah.
Who coaches that?
Yeah.
You know? So I think there's a market there for people to start providing services, and then you're just educating people of what kids need. And the sooner we can educate these kids and give them what they need, then when you come into 13, 14, you're in youth space, then you can now start polishing the diamond. But what are you going to polish if a kid can't ping a ball, hit a ball, can't defend?
Yeah.
What are you going to polish, you know?
Yeah.
So, just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, you know, Steve focuses on is what you're kind of missing from your locker. And that's why we've never gone down the route of an academy or anything, because it's not, you know, you're not giving back the service to these kids who actually need, you know, to be taught simple things.
Yeah, look, and look, I'm not saying all these academies are doing the wrong things. I'm sure there's people out there doing good things.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a lot of silly parents and kids that are wasting a lot of time and money and will miss the boat, and they'll turn around and say, but I've spent thousands of dollars and little Johnny hasn't made it.
Keep that money in your pocket,
So, and it's not about the money you're spending. It's about what does your son need, and are you giving him what he needs? So
it's also those fake promises, you know, as well. Those people selling those services. It's quite an issue.
Yeah, of course. But that happens all over the world also, you know. And it's, I'll put it very simple like this. Your son's at school and he's got a problem with maths. You get a maths tutor.
Yeah, it's good.
Simple.
Yeah, it's just sum it up,
It's that simple. It's that simple. And like I said, these problems are also, when it's not foreign around the world, this is happening everywhere as well. I think it just happens maybe on a bigger scale here, and people get a lot more frustrated here because maybe they do spend more money, and at the end of the day, there's less opportunity.
100%. Yeah.
And that's something that I think needs to change in this country sooner rather than later, to provide players with more pathways to play in the A-League and to become professional, because there's a lot of kids that can, and they're not getting an opportunity. So,
what's your thoughts, like, because you're a NYL coach, you're helping players become pro, and you see these academies or these private coaches that have these really elaborate drills that they see on the internet or also on social media where they're just doing really unnecessary things with tennis balls or whatever. Like, what is your take on that? Because I think a lot of parents kind of get bamboozled by, oh, wow, this person has, 100,000 views on their video. They're doing something ridiculous, like hitting into 3 goals and running around, 3 times and then passing the ball and touching a tennis ball and jumping on a trampoline.
Well, look, I think the simple answer to things like this is, will that happen in the game? And do you need to do that in the game? And if you don't, why are you wasting time with it? If that's something that's going to happen tomorrow in my team training, or on Saturday in my match, great, do it, and do it really well. If I'm never going to have to do that, why am I wasting my time doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's I think that comes down to a parent. I think we have a lot of parents here that have a say when they shouldn't, and have an opinion when they shouldn't, and ultimately ruin their kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're the ones leading the kid into that direction.
Yeah.
Because of what they heard of someone, or because that bloke over there is doing it and his son's playing there, I'm going to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I think if you need to do it, and you know it happens in the match, and you know it's a part of the game that is a requirement that kid needs, you do it. If you got someone juggling tennis balls now and doing scissor kicks,
Catching
on
tennis
trampolines, I don't know.
The trampoline one's the best.
Treadmill ones.
I haven't seen these. Thank God I'm not on
It's
social media,
ridiculous.
but I think if I saw these things, I'd probably get mad.
It was trampoline, so he's on a trampoline with his boots. He's got studs, and he's trying to side foot it into the goals. Was it? I don't know. Something ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, look, and look, at the end of the day, who's right and who's wrong? This is the beauty of football.
Yeah.
What I tell you is not Bible. Is not. It's not the best, or it's not the right. It's not. Is what I believe in.
Yeah.
Is what I appreciate. But who's to tell me that I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing? You know, at the end of the day, it depends why you're coaching, what's your motivation in coaching. You know, why do you coach, and go from that. If a lot of people want to coach NPL under 13s and win 5 grand finals, to tell their mates at work they won the grand final, and they scream from the sideline for 90 minutes and coach every kid and abuse kids and scream and carry on, and if that's you, great. If you're coaching because you genuinely have an interest in helping kids progress, great. You know, I think people first have to ask the question: why am I coaching? What is it that I want to achieve? Why am I doing this? Because this is something that takes a lot of time away from my family, my friends. Yeah. You know, it's never going to pay you what it's meant to pay you. So people don't do it for the money. So ask yourself the question: why am I doing this? And then go on your merry way. If it is to win because you love winning and you're proud to win an NPL2 under 13s competition, no problem. Good luck to you. Go pick the best players you can, tallest, biggest, fastest, strongest. Route 1, long, turn them around, corners, whip them in, attack, whatever. Great. And you can't say that guy's wrong.
Yeah.
But for me, I coach because I have a genuine interest to want to have an influence on an individual to hopefully progress and become a professional. Because I wanted to do that. I had a little bit of an opportunity to do that, and I loved it. And I'm thinking, the more kids that can do this, the better it is for everyone. The more kids that can be involved in the game in a professional level that are disciplined, the more kids that are off the street. And because these days life has changed and there's a lot of, not so much bad people, but the world is not a wonderful place at times, and kids can easily get misled and taken off the right path as human beings. And I think football can sometimes be that vehicle that keeps kids in a good space in life as human beings. And then if they make it, is another bonus.
100%.
You know, and you know, I always say to my players, you know, in 10 years' time, if I see you and you haven't made it, if you're a successful human being in whatever you're doing, I'll be just as happy. You know, but if you're going down the wrong path and you're doing the wrong things, I won't be happy. You know, and that's why I coach, because I actually genuinely want to improve young players, and I want to help people become professional. And one day I want to be a professional coach myself. And maybe I get there, maybe I don't. But the journey will be fun, you know. And as long as I can stay on that journey, great. I'm sure there'll become a time where that journey won't be for me like when I was a player, and the journey stops. But while I'm in the journey, I'm really passionate about what I do, and I really want to drive these kids to get better.
Interesting. So you've had two NYL grand finals. This will be your third season, right? So
as NYL, yeah.
Yeah, so two from two grand finals. What do you think attributed to making it to the finals? So 2 successful years.
Yeah, and look,
both groups.
It was two groups, new groups, and what attributes that? First and foremost, having good players. Because your players are really important, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the world win something important with players that aren't good.
Yeah.
So we had a really good group of players through a result of them being strong individuals, us doing very good scouting from the years previous, and then putting a squad together that can improve. Because if they don't improve and we win an NYL, if they don't get to the first team, well, the NYL is insignificant.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to be judged as someone that, you know, okay, made a grand final in NYL and won an NYL grand final. I don't want to be known as that person. I still to this day don't have one medal of anything that I've won as a coach.
Yeah.
From the Institute days, winning the Nationals, I don't even have a medal. Any grand final at the Wanderers, you know, 3 of the 4 that were in that we won, I don't have one. NYL one, I don't have one. I gave it to a player or a staff. And I don't want to be known as a person, oh, he won the final. I want to be known as someone who's helped players get onto the first team. And, you know, not that I made those players, I just helped them. And I've worked with them and I work really hard with them. So for me, the greatest joy was at the end of each season, how many players progressed to the first team. And then saying, okay, this year 3 or 4 progressed. Okay, but how many stayed there? How many can kick on? Because I don't want them just getting the first contract. I want them re-signing or kicking on to another club with a new, because someone's come in and offered more money, or, you know, then those things motivate me. And even this year, you know, it hasn't been in terms of points. We ain't going to win or make a final this year. It's a new group of players. It's a different group of players that have different strengths and different weaknesses. But the objective will still be for me, how many of this group can go to the first team? And to be honest, at the end of the day, that's all I care about. That doesn't mean I turn up each week and I'm okay with losing. I'm not okay with losing. And I actually hate losing. But I'm not going to sacrifice a player's development for my joy or my success, so to speak. So for me, it's really important that, you know, we do everything. And in the youth space, you're going to be judged on how you're developing players as footballers, how you're developing players as human beings, how many players progress to professional environments, and then you can look at, okay, was the team successful as well? And if you can tick all those boxes, then you can say, okay, we're doing a great job. If you're ticking most of the boxes, i.e. good players, good people, progressing and not winning, okay. But if you're half and half, then you're not doing your job right.
Yeah. So that was a question that I was going to ask you, and you've pretty much answered it. When it comes to selecting players in your space, are you looking for players that you see have the potential attributes to go on and be professional, or players that can do a job for you in the here and now?
No, well, you can't pick a player for here and now, unless he's older and you think he's actually a genuine chance of being in the first team within 12 months. But we really don't do that. We're always looking at a player who potentially long term will be a footballer, and sometimes that doesn't give you immediate benefit or results, but you know there's a long term plan. And every kid develops at different ages, at different stages. You know, there's still a lot of kids that develop later, and when I say later, it's not because of their size. It could be because mentally they matured later. So you could have a big kid who's big, fast, strong, got hair on his armpits, and he's been shaving since he was 14. So you think he's developed, and he might be like that, but his maturity in the brain is not. And you know, young players, the development of players is, you know, young men don't develop until later mentally. And we have to understand that as well. So sometimes when we're looking and saying this kid's 16, 17, he keeps making the same mistake. This kid doesn't get it. Well, you know what? He probably doesn't get it yet. Then it's a fine line. How long can we wait? And is he showing signs of progress, or is he still making the same mistake as he was 6 months ago? Then you got to weigh up the question and say, okay, well, maybe it's time to go because now there's another kid ready to take his spot. Sometimes say, no, he's showing slow progress. Okay, that's enough because there's still some progress. But we're constantly picking players that we believe have a future in the game. And that's been a club philosophy from day one. That was, started with Popper, instilled in the club, always, promoting young players and the youth team being younger than most, and Crookie and all the coaches down through the academy. We know that's our core value in the club. And, we got a lot of small players in the academy from under 13s up. So if anyone turns around, because there's a lot of parents out there, their kids don't make the team, and they only pick the big kids and the strong kids, and the fact, well, go look at our under 13s, you see a kid as big as his table. And we know in 3 years he'll be good because he's got a lot of attributes that we're looking for and a professional requires, and we're going to be patient and let him develop. So that's how we look at players, and we don't always get it right. We make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've picked players and 3 months later thinking, what did I see in this kid? But that's a player that, you got those players that can come in at training and be outstanding and come match day and stage fright. And sometimes those kids will permanently be like that, but sometimes it's just a matter of time that you have to just wait and be patient. And then I think that the biggest challenge of all is, when is the right time to promote the kid? When is the time to say, okay, he's ready for the first team? And I think that's where sometimes we get it wrong. Some people want to get there earlier. And what normally happens, if they've got there earlier and they're not quite ready, they fall off. Whereas if they wait another 12 months, 18 months, they're in there and they stay there. So the timing of when to promote then is really, really important. And again, these are things that I've learned through my travels in Europe and a lot of my own coach education, and I'm constantly looking to learn and constantly seeing what they're doing around the world and bringing that back and saying, okay, how does that fit in with, first of all, our club's structure and our club's DNA and philosophy and beliefs, and then my personal stuff, my personal beliefs, and then I just mold myself around that. And for the time being, it's been enjoyable.
So with Wanderers and Sydney having pretty much, with New South Wales being probably the strongest state football-wise, and Sydney and Wanderers obviously having the predominant pick of everything in Sydney, when it comes to those elite players, are you not just looking on the field? Is it like how far into the player's background, their personality and those kind of things are you looking when you're selecting players? To say I have two players of similar ability, but this one, or maybe even one's a bit further ahead than the other one, but this one I see the attributes of hard work, he's humble and those kind of things. Does that play into the equation when you're picking players?
I think you have to look at that. I think, it's like, I know within our club, we can proudly and confidently say that, there's no idiots. And I think that's not a fluke. That's not by luck. That's from planning and you can tell a lot by a kid even at a young age from his body language. And when you're looking at players, you don't just go watch one game. You do your research. You watch a number of games. And you might see a good player that you like, and you see really bad body language, and then you see him with an attitude, and then you see him after the game with his parents, and you start to put a little puzzle together and say, okay, well, I can see where these problems came from. You can see a few things, and then you ask yourself, okay, well, is that a problem at home? Is that a problem in his environment at the current club? Is that something that would happen under me? And you can't neglect every kid that might have a bit of an attitude problem, or might have bad body language. You can't just neglect them. You got to then say, okay, well, how bad is it, in your opinion? Can you fix that? Are you willing to fix that? And you give a kid an opportunity. Because at the same time, you don't want a kid with no personality. Because when times are tough on that pitch, and a kid goes hiding because he's a quiet kid, he ain't going to get me out of that problem. He's not going to help his teammates. But maybe that kid who you think's got a bit of an attitude, or that kid you think's a bit of hard work, he might rally the troops and say, you know what, boys, let's go, follow me. So that's important when you're looking at, a kid's character. And there's a misinterpretation between a kid who's just confident or a winner, or, just wants to do things extra to win. And there's a difference between kids that really have a bad attitude. And it's, I suppose that's another part of coaching that you got to learn about and try and pick. And like I said, we don't always get it right. And, it's hard. because it is. Imagine you got so many kids, and I think there's a lot of good kids out there. You know, I'm constantly looking outside of our club, saying, okay, well, what's out there? Yeah, we've got good players, but there's got to be some good ones out there as well that would die for this opportunity. You know, and then you get some kids that have been with you 3 or 4 years, and they now take it for granted. Like, oh, this is my place, and they take their foot off the pedal, and you know that the kid next door, given this opportunity, will go through that wall for you. And, you know, it'll be like a kid in a candy shop coming to your club. You know, and you got to have players on their toes like that. You know, and I've seen a lot of good players make it who weren't outstanding, but had an incredible application to what they do, had excellent mentality and discipline and desire. You know, yeah, they had to tick a certain box technically, but I think there's been more of those that have made it than the gun, who was unbelievable, who lacked a lot of other things. You know, I think, you know, if I'd, you know, one of my kids coming through that wanted to be a footballer, I'd make sure first and foremost at the moment he's technically in a good space and just is willing to work really hard. Physically he's good, because this game these days is physically so demanding that if you can't be athletic, you can't play the game. So I wouldn't worry so much if it was unbelievably skillful, or, you know, and I'd say to myself, just be a top right back or a left back, or because the positions that no one wants to play.
That's what I always say these days, be left or right back.
Because you go to trials and you got 45-50% attacking midfielders. Some, and the kid will tell you his position. He won't tell you, say, whatever he's read on the PlayStation, you know, AM, CDM. And I'm like, you're a defensive midfielder? Like, are you centre? Like, and I'll tell you what they are in the terminology of the computer game. And he's a winger and striker, play 9, wing either side, no problem. And then you might get the occasional centre back that comes up, and it's like, mate, we've got to put 2 squads together. Anyone left back or right back? You know, and if you're half decent, you're a chance of making it. Like, so if you're really good, you're definitely in. So, you know, like, I just think, and again, I think it's people forgetting that this game requires 11 players. And in any one game, there's more defenders than attackers.
That's very true.
So when you look at the game like that, why would you just want to be a striker when there's one in the team? I'd rather be a defender. I've got more chance. Most teams are playing with 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Up front, they're either playing with 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. That's it.
You know, so, you know, when you look at it like that, you know, and then if you start looking at who your best players, every kid's going to tell you a winger or a striker. When I grew up, my favourite player was Fernando Redondo. Defensive midfielder. If I asked my players who Fernando Redondo was, they wouldn't even know.
Idea. They have no idea.
They would not even know.
Even Reddit doesn't know.
I actually have no idea who
like
he
it
is.
does.
I'm sitting
See,
there.
I told you, he doesn't know who he is.
I have no idea who he is. Fernando Redondo. I can't even say his name.
So, like, yeah, I just think, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say that kids, again, I think it's because the kids aren't in love with the game, and the obvious person to like is Messi, Ronaldo, now Mbappe and Neymar.
Yeah.
But, you know, because that's just obvious. It's because they're just scraping the surface.
Yeah.
You know, they're not looking in and saying, okay, I love the game. Look at this defensive midfielder from Chelsea or from whoever. It's, you know, from Inter Milan or, geez, have you seen that right fullback now? Have you seen how Man City plays with inverted fullbacks? And their right fullback is better than their attacking midfielder technically because he's on the ball. Like, so they're not seeing that. They're just seeing the bright lights. And you're just limiting yourself.
Yeah. And fullbacks are involved in the game more than ever. They're up and down the field.
I look at it like this. A winger, when he gets the ball, he's either got to be running in behind or he's getting it with a guy marking him.
Yeah.
A fullback, when you attack, you're getting the ball with space, with time, and you got massive influence on the attack.
Yeah.
100%.
So if a kid gets told to go play for a fullback who's a winger, he's looking and say, you know what? Okay, I'm interested in this. I'm still attacking just as much.
Yeah.
But I'm coming from a better position with less pressure.
More options.
And more time on the ball.
Yeah.
Mate, you're winning.
Yeah.
You're winning. You're crossing. just as much as the winger. You know, because you're overlapping or crossing from deep.
Well, if not more, yeah.
You're having a major influence on the match. You know, if you're a centre back, you're touching the ball more than any other player on the pitch.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think if kids start to become aware of this, and they be shown some players who are world class, and you show them how good they are on the ball. Like if a young defender goes and watches Sergio Ramos on the ball, I mean, this guy could probably play in the A-League as a number 10. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to the A-League, but I'm just saying his technical level
Good.
is incredible. You know? So, look, there's a lot the kids can learn off. And I think that can help with their development as well. I really believe that.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk, obviously, and it's been an issue with our younger teams not qualifying for World Cups and things like that across our men's and our women's space. Just from your point of view, where do you see the state of all that is, and where do we move forward as a country into a better space?
In terms of national teams?
Yeah.
I think national teams is...
Because what you said before made a good point about playing in front of 150 people, and then all of a sudden now I'm in a hostile environment where there's 10,000, 15,000, I'm expected to perform, and I've never performed in that environment before, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's one issue. But you got to understand, around the world, and if we just look in our own backyard in Asia, there is serious money being spent on young national teams and youth development. And it doesn't matter how good our players are individually. If our national team coaches don't have opportunities to go into many camps and play in pre-tournaments and go play opposition in South America, go play Asia, go play Africa, go play Europe, you know, go play those nations. If you don't have the funds to do that and the opportunity to do that, you're hurting yourself. And, you know, you look at Vietnam and Malaysia and all these countries, Thailand, China, Japan, Korea, you're talking about serious money invested in youth, national teams.
Yep.
And that's a very big problem for us. If you're looking at our national teams now, they don't have money to go on camps. They're playing in-house games here. They're doing a 4-day or 5-day thing in Canberra. I remember back the AIS every year, where there was mostly under 17s was coming from the AIS. They were going to tours in South America for 1 month, playing against Boca Juniors, River Plate, playing in Uruguay, Peñarol. Like, they were playing serious opposition and going away for a month. Then the year after, they were in Europe. So they were going to all that.
Yeah.
They were going to all that. So it's no coincidence that, you know, they were having decent results.
Yeah.
Okay, my generation, which was probably your generation too, where they talk about we made the World Cup under 17s final and lost on penalty shootout to Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay. But not many from that group would you turn around and say really kicked on. Yeah, some went to Europe, short stints here and there, but they didn't really kick on. But yeah, okay, we had success in that. So with under 17s, what's the goal? That's what you got to ask yourself first as a country. Is it to try and develop your players holistically to keep progressing? You can do that. Is it to qualify for tournaments? Because if you qualify for tournaments, it gives you better media and marketing opportunities, maybe gives you more sponsors and funds. Well, there's nothing wrong if you do that either. You know? Is it to try and do a bit of both? Okay, well then you might have the problem that we're in, where maybe you qualify for some, you don't qualify for others. Again, the question for me is, what does the governing body want from the under-17s? And then go off that. But if you want to go and win it, we'll go and invest money in young players and tournaments and camps and go and push to win. And if none of them kick on to the under-20s in a year or two's time, no problem, and you start again in under-20s, you know, who's to say that that's wrong? But if you want to have a progression, which I think we currently have, I think there's a good progression. I honestly believe if there was more funds for them, they'd be in a better position. You know, then you look at little things. If the NYO was a better competition in terms of longer, if the youth league was playing in a better competition, not 25 teams in a comp and play each other once, and you know 15 games you're going to win so easily, it's not funny. I mean, for me, that's a waste of time and space. Like that's a huge problem. But I also think, you know, when you've got a country where the governing body doesn't control the game, there's a problem there. So why should each state be different? Why should be different rules and different competitions in every state? If you can't align that, what hope do we have?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Even in terms of NYO Factor, this whole group of 5 each split up into 2. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. But I'll dig a little bit deeper. Why am I only allowed 3 reserves?
Yeah, that's a good point. What if you need more options? Yeah.
So this year they let the A-League go to 7 subs. Excellent. Which allows you to give more players opportunities to be part of the matchday squad. And if you're winning 2 or 3 nil with 10 to go, you're going to put a young kid on. And I think this year you can see it's been the most young players across the league for many years that are doing a really good job. And I believe that this year's A-League's much better than last year's. And there's more youngsters, a lot more youngsters than last year.
That's true.
So that's telling me that these kids aren't going to drop the standard of the league. If anything, they've raised it. Yeah? And so you allow that now to increase the subs. Yet in NYL space, we only allowed 3 reserves. And those 3 are the ones that have to go on. So you've got to preempt your subs.
With a keeper. Yeah,
right? With a keeper. Well, why can't I have a matchday squad of 18 as well?
So
And
you
also
allowed
be able to
3
give that
subs.
Yeah,
3 on the bench.
3 on the
subs.
bench
Oh,
and a
See,
keeper.
but I don't understand.
know
Well,
that.
increase 1 or 2 numbers. I don't get it, yeah.
So
Doesn't make sense.
why can't I have 6 reserves and a keeper
Yeah.
to have a matchday squad of
And
18?
choose based off the game.
And I'm giving more youngsters an opportunity to be part of that environment too.
Yep.
And I'm putting younger kids on in an NYL space because I could be up 1 or 2 or 3 nil or whatever, and I want to give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Chuck a 15-year-old.
You know, so I think there's a lot of those little problems that are having a significant impact as well.
Because that would impact the coach's development as well, seeing the game, reading the situation. These are my options. I choose the right option.
Well, imagine going into a game where you pretty much preempt your subs.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's not even the coaches, they're the players. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I shouldn't be going into a game. Any coach, not just me, any coach. So I know what my subs are going to be. I'll make sure I got 1 on midfield, 1 attacker, 1 defender on the bench,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, that's I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So there's little things like that,
Yeah, yeah.
which I think, okay, they're little, but they have a big
Has it ever
influence.
been explained? Why?
Well, no, but I'm ready to ask questions because, especially now in the heat that we've been playing through in the last, in the last couple months.
Yeah, you've got.
Why can't we make 5 subs in a match?
Yeah, you got to send it back
when
at
we're
the
playing
bench, the
40
right back
degree
gets
heat?
injured. Yeah,
Like,
crazy.
Yeah, I think it was a Central Coast.
and if you
one.
see, if you see the quality of the games in the second halves in a lot of the NYL space, they drop dramatically.
Yeah.
The intensity drops big time, and it's not because the players are unfit. It's because it's not easy to play in 33, 34, 35 degree heat.
Yeah.
Match gets cancelled at 60.
And then you got clubs that want to play at 8 and 9 and 10 in the morning. Like, I mean, that's enough. Like,
Yeah.
where are we going with that?
Yeah.
Like, we're playing in summer, okay, no problem. Well, I'm kicking off at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that logical?
That was just like the Central Coast match when it got cancelled. What was the temperature? 38?
I don't know what the temperature was at the same time, but
It was about 38.
no, it wasn't. On the pitch it was 31 or something, but
Yeah.
30, something like that, 31 or 31.5, something. But even still, imagine now you're a young, up and coming, potentially professional player, and in that game you might have had 1 or 2 players that are on first team contracts, so they're professional, and they have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to have breakfast to be at the ground at 7:30. Like, are we being serious or what? And that's only because, for example, we stayed overnight. If we had to travel from Sydney on the day of the game, they had to wake up at 5 in the morning on game day.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a national competition. You know, so I'm thinking, like, there's little things like that when I look and say, well, maybe this is affecting the player as well, 20%.
Yeah. It would have to be.
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What does a player need most? Sleep.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, all these little things, I think they can make a big difference in the end.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't think we're far. I think we're close to getting it better. But I think it's important that we're all on the same page. You know, from FFA to the governing bodies in each state, that FFA's got to just take control and say, this is how it is, and we're all following, and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not in an NPL space where, you know, imagine now you're going, you're sometimes scared to speak to a club to tell them you're interested in one of their players because they won't give them to you. And with all due respect, you're talking about an NPL who's amateur, an A-League club who's professional. And they don't want anything to do with you because you're going to take their supposed best player from the under-15s.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we destroyed your club. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Destroyed your club.
Yeah, like, well, how many players have we taken from your club this year, mate? 2. You got 120.
Yeah.
And we destroyed you. But how about, when we take him for 1 or 2 years, if he doesn't keep kicking on, we goes back to you and he's a better player than he was.
Yeah.
You don't say thank you for that.
Yeah.
Or when you're ringing me up saying, "Oh, Arthur, which players are you offloading so we can take them?" "Oh, you want our players now?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, so no NPL club should look at A-League clubs as a threat or as an enemy. So, when we play against each other in our competitions in winter, you want to beat me and I want to beat you, no problem. But if there's a talented kid who's got an opportunity to go to a professional environment, if you're going to stand in his way, you're not there for the right interest of football.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about a kid now who's paying you to be your club anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to find another kid that's going to pay anyway, so what's your problem? If you really cared, you'd provide a better pathway for him and a better platform for him. But the reality is, if I look around NPL space, they don't actually care about developing a player.
No.
And maybe some people get angry with me saying this, but that's the reality. They actually don't care about youth development. Because if they did, they'd invest money in it. They'd pay their coaches more. They'd try and find better facilities for the players to train in. It'd be better if they actually cared, And back then, if you want to talk about back then, well, we don't know if they cared or they didn't because it wasn't even talking about. We don't know if they cared about youth development. They probably didn't.
Yeah.
But no one even questioned it. You know what I mean?
Play.
So they just played. So it was never a problem. Like, you had a lot of teams in the NYO space. You had, like I said, 16 teams.
Heaps, yeah.
But there was teams, sometimes NPL, that came into play 1 or 2 years in that space because they could have, So he didn't think about that.
Yeah.
It wasn't really discussed.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. No, that was really good insights into, the whole coaching scene, especially in Australia, because I think it's the first we've kind of had at a youth level. And a lot of parents listen to it and, they'll find it pretty educational because they do get bamboozled by people in the industry that, take advantage of them, like you said. Coaches won't release players to help them,
you've got
progress.
the other parents too, right? Mate, I'm so hard on my kid, I smash him. If he's had a bad game, I'm the first to tell him. It's not your job. You've affected him probably.
Yeah.
Like, they're telling me because they're thinking that I'm going to be impressed by this. "Oh, mate, I'm his biggest critic." I don't want you to be his biggest critic. I want you to be his father.
Yeah.
Can you be the best father you can?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to do it for my kids, and it's not easy, let me tell you.
It's not.
And sometimes I think I'm failing. But unless that parent is an ex-professional footballer or an ex-professional coach who knows a little bit more than the average Joe, I have an opinion. But you find those ones don't normally anyway.
No.
Because they've been on the other side, And parents just be parents. Let the kids play. If a kid wants to talk to you about his game or his training, he will. Or she will. They don't need you to say, "Why'd you do that today? I can't believe you missed that chance. How'd you let that guy score? You're rubbish today. You didn't look like..."
Yeah.
If I was a parent of a child playing football at a half decent level, if you got in the car, I'd say to him, "Oh, did you enjoy that?" Yeah. "Oh, what did you enjoy about that?" "Oh, that I liked how I was good on the ball, or the team play." Oh, I don't know what he's going to say, but I'll just take it where he wants it to take. But I'm just going to ask him first: Did he enjoy himself?
Yeah.
And if he wants to go further, I'll get that gauge off him, and I might ask 1 or 2 more questions. But I'm not going to say to him, "How do you think you played?"
Yeah.
There's a difference. Did you enjoy yourself today? How was the game? Not, did you think you played good or bad? Straight away you're turning into something that they probably don't want, and especially after a game too. Yeah. If they've had a win, for example, it could be different. Can you imagine the kid's lost?
Yeah.
And he's jumped in the car and his dad's telling him, "Mate, what were you doing for that corner? How'd you let that guy score? Or how'd you miss that 1-on-1?
Yeah.
Like, you
It's
don't
rough.
need that. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
especially this guy's probably a real estate agent or a builder, and probably never kicked the ball in his life. Not to say that he wouldn't have an idea about football, but chances are, less than someone that does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be a really good parent. Sit there, watch your kid. You know, like I laugh sometimes going to watch a game, and it's not scouting. You're just watching a game, and it could be a youth league game, and you're hearing parents talking about other kid how bad he is.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, it's only a matter of time before there's all in brawls in the crowds here, because some guy's gonna hear someone talking bad about his son. You don't know, that guy could be, have a short fuse, and it's on. And it's like, we're here to watch a game, and who cares if that guy's son's not playing well? What's that your business? But people are talking about it. It's like, what have we become?
100%.
Just sit and watch a game. Watch your kid play. Encourage the team if they score, clap. Like, don't scream out an instruction or scream to your son, or other kid makes a mistake and you scream. Like, and I'm like, it actually turns you off sometimes going to the game. Yeah. And I think it's sad.
It is.
I think it's sad. And that's what it's become. And it's a competition of
it is.
Who's your son playing for?
100%.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Who's your son playing for? Well, your son's 11. Yeah, okay. Well, he's in. I don't know, the whatever the 11s programs are now, TSP or whatever they're called. Okay. Well, let's see where your son's at 20.
Yeah.
Not at 15. Where's he at 20? Is he a professional? Is he playing NPL first grade? Is he not playing the game at all?
Yeah.
Because even now, when people say to me, "They feel you reckon he can make it?" I can't. From what I've seen over the years, I can't say that a kid at 15 is going to make it.
Yeah.
Because 15 to 18 are locking up.
So many variables in that time space. Yeah.
And 16, I would never stick my neck out. 17, 18, I might say there's a chance, but it's normally between the ages of 18 to 20 where that kid's going to go. And it doesn't mean he's automatically going to get there, but it could be setting the path up to say, okay, he might have to take one step back to take two steps forward.
Yeah.
But I think people putting pressure on kids saying, "Oh, this 14 or he's the best thing I've ever seen. This guy's going to play for his country," and it's not going to happen. Like chances are he won't. And he might play under 17s in the Joeys, and then we might never hear from him again.
Yeah.
So how many of those are there that you've met that have played Joeys over the years and never played National League?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Like how many you hear played young Socceroos and don't be professionals?
Yeah.
I start thinking, well, if a kid's in the Ollie Roos, the under 23s, well, he's kicking off.
Closer, yeah.
Under 17s, doesn't bother me at all. Under 20s, a little bit. 23s and on, I think now you're starting to say you're a good chance of being a footballer.
Yeah.
I seen a post from one of the boys yesterday. That's a good point, and I think it was, I don't know if it must have been the 17th or it might have been older, and just looking at the players there that were in that Australian squad, and like not many of them at all had gone to the next level. Some aren't playing at all, and then the rest are just in that NPL space. It was crazy. That was just yesterday.
Yeah. It's and you know what people got to realise? It's not easy to play NPL 1, mate. First grade and get paid.
Yeah, it's competitive. Really.
Mate, if some of my players think, okay, they're in an A-League environment and they think, oh, yeah, NPL.
Yeah.
But I've seen some of the best young players come through the Wanderers Academy over the years. That took them 3 years to play after we released them. Took them 3 years to play first grade NPL 1.
Yeah.
And we're talking about players that played young Socceroos. It's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
So people got to remember that as well, to say, you know what? If my son's playing, he's 21, 22, playing week in, week out NPL 1 and getting paid whatever he's getting paid, that's a good achievement. And he's still in the game. He's still in the chance.
Yeah,
He can go to Asia, can be in the A-League tomorrow, But there's some players that will even come through A-League academies. They won't even play in PL2.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee anything, It just gives you a better chance.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean if you're not part of it, you got no chance either, So look how many kids have gone to Europe to play that haven't gone through A-League academies and have gone at young ages. There's plenty of them, And again, that's the beauty of football. It's a world game, and there's opportunities for a kid to go anywhere he wants.
Yeah.
And if he's got the mental strength to be able to sacrifice things to go with all my blessing and go for it and experience it and try it. Because chances are, whether you make it or you won't, it's going to make you a better person because of it.
Yeah.
Gives you life experiences, And then if you do make it, well, you're never looking back.
No.
And that's the beauty of football, I think. And I think that's what why everyone loves it. And you know, wherever you look, whatever country you come from, there's a ball being kicked. There's fans. There's people that love it, and I think that's what brings us all together. You know, it's I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Man, it's been a pleasure to have you on. It's been a good chat.
Excellent, yeah.
We'll leave it there for today, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you.